Hi, welcome back to another episode of Nobody's Doing It Right, the podcast for those who are uncertain. My name is Kat. I am your host. For today's episode, we're going to talk about whether that thing that you're aiming towards or working for, if it's difficult because it's not aligned with you and who you want to be as a person, or if it's difficult because it is aligned with you, but it's making you face a lot of your fears and insecurities. This is a really important distinction to make because I think many of us will face resistance and will face hiccups or, road bumps, and we'll think that that means that this thing is just not right for us. Now, I do want to say that there are many things that are difficult because they're not right for us. But the distinction here is that those things that are not actually aligned with us and not right for us usually do not align with our values, our morals. They make us do things that are not, in alignment with those important qualities within ourselves that we want to perpetuate, right? When you are having to do that, when it's going against who you are as a person, then yeah, it's difficult because it's not right for you. But there are many instances where we face difficulties on a path or a journey because the thing that we're working toward is making us face a lot of fears and insecurities. And to face them is very painful. It's very uncomfortable, obviously. And will make us want to, go back to our comfort zone and be safe, which makes sense. But that doesn't mean this thing isn't right for you. And I think it can be easy to convince yourself that that's what's happening. And it might be a form of self-sabotage to do so. You see this resistance, or you feel it. You feel this wall, you feel this block. And you think, oh, if it's difficult, if I'm feeling this difficulty, then I must be on the wrong path. So I gotta pivot. I gotta change direction. But you might have been on the exact right path, but you faced the resistance that is necessary to become the person you need to be to get to that thing that you want. And that person would still, be aligned with you. It wouldn't be a person who's not at all, again, in alignment with your values and morals and all that stuff. It's still a version of you that you are growing into, which is normal, which is what happens in life. But if you hold yourself back from stepping into that person because it's scary, it's uncomfortable, you have to face your fears and insecurities to do so, then you're going to never let yourself have the things that are actually meant for you. You're going to hold yourself back from them. And then what's going to happen is you're going to convince yourself that you don't deserve them at all. Like you're not worthy of them at all. Because you keep holding yourself back because you keep thinking that this difficulty is a sign that it's not right for me. And so you go back to the things that maybe are easy and feel like, oh, because it's easy, then it must be what's right. And it flows and it's, and I totally understand that because it can be so tricky to tell the difference between flow and easiness. Easiness does not always mean something is right. It can sometimes signify patterns and, familiarities in your life and in your journey, but that doesn't mean that it's right. It could be familiar. It could be something that you're used to. It still doesn't mean it's aligned with you. It can be behaviors and patterns in your upbringing that are reflected in this person that you're starting to date, right? And it might feel easy to fall into that dynamic with that person. So you think, oh, well, if it feels easy, it feels like I've known them my whole life and all these things that you're feeling. And you're like, oh, this must be the right person for me then. But maybe there are a lot of other qualities in them that are not at all aligned with you and the person you want to be or the person you want to, embody in your life. But you're feeling like, well, it's so easy in so many ways. Maybe that means it's right. Or say you encounter a person, you start dating somebody and you notice difficulty, not in the ways that make you question your values and morals, like I said, but difficulty in the fact that maybe you have to start communicating better. Maybe you have to start acknowledging that you aren't as communicative as you thought you were. Or maybe you have to start holding yourself accountable for your behavior sometimes. Maybe you are faced with the fact that you pull away when you're upset. Then it feels difficult to be in that relationship, but that does not mean it's not right for you. It doesn't mean it's not aligned with you. It might be exactly what you need to grow into the person you want to be, but it's not easy. It's difficult. They're not called growing pains for nothing, right? It's going to be hard in that sense. Now, again, it doesn't have to be difficult in every aspect, and it shouldn't always be a struggle. We don't want to fall into the struggle mentality because I think sometimes people can convince themselves that struggle means it's right for me. Especially if you've been conditioned to think that, you only deserve things if you prove yourself worthy of them. If you struggle and strive and are never happy, that you have to always suffer to get something. That's not a healthy mentality either. We don't want to fall on either side of this spectrum, right? We want to be nicely in the middle of it. But I think for anybody who struggles understanding if this thing that they're working towards, if it's right for them, because they're noticing these roadblocks, these speed bumps, these difficulties, this resistance, it might be that it's exactly right for you, but you have to ask yourself what the difficulty is rooted in. What is actually difficult here? Because if it's difficulty in relation to your identity, maybe an old identity that you've been holding on to for too long, to the point where it's not serving you anymore, then I would argue that this is exactly what needs to happen, that you need to continue on this path because you have to break out of that. But if it's difficulty in terms of, it's making you act in ways that are not, aligned with your values, like you have to behave in certain ways that just don't sit right with you because they make you see yourself as a person that is maybe not good, somebody who does bad things in the name of love or in the name of success or whatever that is for you, right? But you're doing unethical things and you don't want to be that kind of person. And so to continue on this path would mean you have to face that kind of difficulty. Then that's a different story, right? That might mean that, yeah, it's not right for you. But I understand that it's difficult to really see the distinction and get clear on it. Again, you don't have to be struggling all the time. You don't always have to be suffering to make something worthwhile, especially when it comes to relationships. You don't have to be always feeling like you have to make it all work and you have to put all this effort in and you have to try really hard and you have to just do what you need to do to keep it together. No, there should be flow. There should be a level of easefulness to the process of it. But also, if it's not smooth sailing all the time, that doesn't mean that this thing isn't right for you. To expect something to be smooth sailing all the time would mean that you're expecting something to be what you already know. But if you already know this thing, it means it's where you currently are right now, right? It's the things that you've already experienced. So there's no growth. There's no, stepping outside your comfort zone. There's no learning new things here. And so if you're only basing if something is right or wrong for you on that, on familiarity, on if you already know it, you're not going to give yourself the opportunity to show yourself what you're capable of in life. And that is such a shame. So yeah, we don't want to fall on either side of the spectrum. Neither of those things is good for you, right? We want to find balance. But again, if you notice yourself doing things or changing direction or pivoting all the time, every time you face a roadblock or some sort of resistance, ask yourself, is this sabotage because I am always seeking ease? I'm only ever seeking things that are easy or familiar or that I already know so that I don't feel stupid or dumb, or I don't have to face the discomfort of, seeing my flaws, seeing my insecurities. Really be honest with yourself about that stuff. It's really important to do so because otherwise you will hold yourself back from experiencing the things that are right for you, that are good for you, that are, something you would actually want when you look back in retrospection, right? When you look back and say, oh, I'm so glad I pushed myself through that resistance. Those are the things that you need to do, right? Those are the things you have to face in order to feel that way in the future. You don't want to look back and think, I should have just continued. I should have just pushed through that resistance. I think that is more painful in the long run. And again, I am not encouraging that if something is difficult right now, that you should necessarily push through and just bear the pain, bear the struggle. It's about really being honest with yourself about where that pain and struggle and discomfort is coming from. What is it really rooted in? Be clear, be aware, have the clarity within you to understand the difference between the two. And obviously I can't give you those answers. Those are going to be specific to you and your life. What I find difficult in terms of my values and my morals and what is aligned with the kind of person I want to be is going to be different for someone else. And it might be completely opposite for us, right? So I can't give you specifics. But the way to look at it is, am I showing up? Am I having to become a person in this relationship, in this job, in this circumstance that I would be not comfortable being in my highest self? If I were to think of myself in that way, in the highest self, right? Would I feel comfortable with that being that version of me? And if not, then maybe that's a sign. But again, everybody's way of recognizing this is going to be different. For me, a lot of my discomfort and resistance manifests in my fear of being not good enough, my fear of being imperfect, my fear of not being smart enough. And so when I'm faced with things that force me to challenge my ability to do things and be imperfect at them, right? This situation forces me to just take action and not be perfect. that is usually when my self-sabotage kicks in. And then I start to question, maybe this thing's just not right for me. And I have to catch myself and be like, no, Kat, it does not mean that. It means that your perfectionism and your insecurities around perfection are being questioned right now. And that's what's triggering you. And a lot of times when I continue to push on that and I push through it, I realize like, this is exactly what I needed to do. Like simply the fact that I have to challenge those aspects of myself, those insecurities, is a sign that this thing is right for me. But again, it's going to be different for everyone. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it was informative. I hope it gave you a different perspective on difficulty and ease and resistance and flow and all that stuff. If you want to talk about these things one-on-one with me, you can book a call on my website. I also have a Substack where I write about these topics. And you can follow my other social media accounts for the rest of my content. Other than that, thank you for listening, and I'll be back again soon with another episode.